So this is the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, and today I'm going to face it off against the cheapest iPhone now in the lineup, the iPhone 16e, to see how fast the 16e really is versus the best of Samsung over here. So let's go ahead and get this speed test going. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. And let's go ahead and begin with the boot up test in 3, 2, go, and see which one can get there first. Now, this video is for entertainment. I understand we're in different segments here. This is not really competing with the top of the line, but at the same time, Apple is advertising a super fast A18 chip. So let's see how fast it is by comparison. And it gets started with a first win to the iPhone 16e, turning on faster than the Galaxy S25 Ultra. But when you look at these two phones, they look worlds apart for sure, but definitely they're worlds apart in the price tag as well, so it would make sense. But the iPhone 16e, this is all about performance. We're trying to see how good of the performance really is on that phone, as it is the more recent phone here. And you've seen it took the first win. And when it comes to unlocking these phones, the Galaxy S25 Ultra is going to utilize the in-display fingerprint sensor, and you could see it's super quick and super reliable. You can also unlock via the face, not the most secure method, but it's still something to use if you want speed of unlocking. But you can also kind of just like unlock this pulling it out of your pocket. So let's say you're in the pocket, you know where the fingerprint sensor is, you can be in there. So I do think from a speed perspective, the S25 Ultra is better, but if you do get really greasy fingers, it could be an issue, or really wet fingers. Whereas this one is always going to unlock just looking at your face, although they've had this since like iPhone 10, so there's nothing new here. Although I will say it's definitely a little bit more reliable than some of the older Face ID iPhones. It's not a big difference. It really isn't. It's still a little bit slower to get in than the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. Now, when navigating the One UI 7, I like how they went to a vertical app drawer. It's a lot more easy to understand. Alphabetically, you go in there, A through Z, you're going to find your applications. But kind of swiping through, not only has Samsung cleaned up their user interface versus years ago when it was overpacked with features, but they still found a balance between features and easy to use, while at the same time having now nice animations and consistency. It's a pretty polished Android skin over here, so I do really like it. And with the 120 Hz, it tends to navigate along that UI a little bit quicker than the iPhone 16e over here, which does a pretty good job. However, I do find App Library to be a little bit, I wouldn't say jerky, but a little bit choppier by comparison. Navigating these home screens, though, you'd be hard pressed to see a difference. iOS does a really good job, even on a 60 Hz phone like this one. But the Samsung does feel a little bit snappier going through its software. Let's go on to the app test now. All right, so you can see everything is closed out for both phones. Let me go ahead and show you there, no recently apps. And then over there, let's go ahead and begin with calendar. And the Apple Calendar is first to launch. Let's go into clock. And I think that was the Samsung with the animation. We'll go over here. With alarms, world clock. And as we swipe out, the animations look great on both. Let's go into calculator. Faster for the Samsung. And we'll go over here to Instagram. And you can see that launches first there for the left. If I go over here to my home page, I think the 16e had that as we scroll through. So remember, the 16e, while giving you not the best camera, they are giving you basically flagship performance. That's what you're paying for the chip. Let's go over here to news. Although the Samsung was quicker there, they do tend to cut back on the GPU. And these aren't the same exact apps, so we can't really directly go in the same sections. But Samsung did launch Google News faster than Apple News over here. Let's go over here to App Store. You can see faster on the left. And as we scroll through, you can see not a major difference there, but the Samsung tends to scroll faster, but the iPhone a little bit slower with its scrolling. Let's go over here to X and see what happens. And you'll see that was first for the Samsung. So I don't feel like that was Samsung again. I don't feel like the the 16E is beating the Samsung whatsoever so far. As we scroll down here, similar thing, you're going to find that faster scrolling in the Samsung. We'll go over to YouTube and let's go over here to trending tab and we'll see what happens. So we go to music, let's go to gaming, movies. So you can see YouTube pretty well optimized on both of them as we scroll through. Still faster scrolling on the Samsung, but both of them do pretty good. Let's go over here to Groupon. I do think the 16E is holding its own. I keep saying SE. I'm still not used to saying 16E. Like, it just doesn't roll off the tongue as well. Probably because we've had SEs for so long. I still got to get used to saying this. 16E. It just, I don't know. We haven't heard that ever. So it's just like a new thing. Still haven't had that memory to like continue to talk that name. Like, it just hasn't been there for me because SE has been around this channel since the beginning. Let's go into Dead Trigger 2. And you can see Dead Trigger 2 first on the left. Let's hit play. Let me know if you're still having a little bit of a, you sometimes want to call this SE. Let me know if you agree with that. Let's go over here. You'll see it. Let's go into Subway Surfers. And is the Samsung going to take it? Yes, it does. So even in the gaming, the Samsung taking it. But this 16E is holding its own. Like, it's pretty close in performance, which is going to say that you are getting a good performance value here. And I've seen some articles saying that the iPhone 16E is actually selling better than predicted by a lot of like reviewers. I already knew that this phone was going to sell well. I didn't say it wasn't. I figured it would. And it's actually selling better than the iPhone SE did. So this is a good thing for those of you who want a phone that you could trust. You know, if a bunch of people are buying it and it's doing well, it's likely a decent option, or they would be returning it. Let's go into Race the Sun. And you'll see Race the Sun going to pull ahead on the Samsung. So you would expect this phone to be faster, and it is so far. Even in the games, the Samsung has been winning pretty much every round. Let's swipe out. But my biggest thing with Samsung now is that they have really nice animations. I'm loving the animations in 2025 on the Samsung phones, the S series. They're doing fantastic with this. You can see Samsung in the lead. Nope, pretty close. And that was, you know, I think that was going to be the Galaxy, because then it loads up this little commercial thing like this, or this little, you know, this get into the game little video, whatever they call that. Not thinking right now. But the Samsung definitely was going to take the lead there. In the games, you will find better heat management on the Samsung, but also better performance because it has a better GPU. In addition, more space to see what you're doing. So I definitely would not buy the iPhone 16e for anything more than basic phone use. Even though it is fast enough, it doesn't have the super smooth display. It doesn't have better heat management. It does have faster Real Racing 3 performance here, it looks like. But Real Racing 3 tends to perform pretty whack on most of the Android phones that I've tested so far. So 16e is going to get this round. Some people are going to get comments, take that game out of the test. Like, let's go to Free Fire. And you'll see Free Fire, will Samsung strike back in this test? And it looks like it just might. Yes, it does. So Free Fire with the win to the Galaxy S25 Ultra. So far, we've only had basically like 1 or 2 wins on the iPhone 16e. Let's go into 3D Mark. I think that was the right. We'll go into Geekbench 6. That was the Samsung again. And as we swipe out of here, we'll go into Speed Test Net, and that was faster on the 16e. So it is kind of app dependent, but generally the animations I thought looked pretty nice on the 16e. It was pretty hard for me to see a massive difference with that. Even though it's 60 hertz, most of the apps have quicker animation launch times on the Galaxy S25 Ultra. So I think generally going through your day-to-day workflow, the 16E is going to feel a little bit slower than the Galaxy S25 Ultra. So I'd give the S25 Ultra the win here. Let's take a look at the RAM management now. All right, so let's go ahead and head through the applications, and you can see that we're doing a pretty fantastic job so far. And the Samsung Buttery with its 12 gigabytes of RAM. And we'll go over here to Groupon, YouTube. I think Samsung might be one of the best in the game right now when it comes to Android phones RAM management. These animations look fantastic on One UI 7, so definitely very good. I think the OnePlus 13 arguably better in this area. That's a debate for another video, but this did really good. So let's see how the 16E stacks up. So you're going to pay much less for 16E. You're going to get a much lighter phone. And while you can do the heavy tasks, even because you have better battery life than ever before, will you? I don't know. Let me know down below. So we have a reload here on Subway Surfers. That's strange. Dead Trigger 2. So just because of that one reload, I think we have our winner. This is 8 gigabytes of RAM. And it didn't reload basically anything else, but something happened over there on Subway Surfers. So we are going to get the W to the Samsung. It does seem to run along pretty nice for a 60 hertz panel though. I didn't really have a big complaint with the way the applications looked, but they did take the win over here. But for not having 120 hertz, this is a pretty smooth affair. So I think a lot of people will enjoy the performance of the 16E. And so here is our final Geekbench 6 scores, and you can see the iPhone 16E actually took the victory in the single core, although our actual easier app tests where we were being easier on the phone for the regular apps definitely did not show that this was better, because the Samsung still did a bit better there. However, what it does show you is that the 16E for your daily tasks can be great. Also pretty good for your multi-core stuff. So heavier use, this is also pretty good. But it's not topping the Galaxy S25 Ultra, which will be a much better phone for a heavier user, gaming, multitasking, you know the drill. Let's go ahead and take a look at 3D Mark. What we're going to do here is run a Wildlife Extreme 1-minute graphic test. We're going to see what it is capable of producing both of these phones when it comes to their graphical performance. Now, I will say that I did run some games testing the iPhone 16E, and it got pretty toasty, whereas the S25 Ultra did not. So that's one area I'm not a big fan of this phone. I would not want to use this without a case if I was pushing it, because it definitely gets warm, very warm. So definitely not really digging that. So I'll be back and we'll see what happens in this test. And here are our final Wildlife Extreme scores, and you can see that there is a massive, substantial lead on the Galaxy S25 Ultra at 35.40 versus 16E at 19.5 FPS. That is huge. This score is better than 97% of devices on the market, and this one better than 68%. So we're looking at about a 30% increase here in the GPU performance. That is substantial. If you are playing things like PUBG, Call of Duty, you're playing any of those graphically intensive games out there, you'll want something like an S series Galaxy S25 Ultra, S25, even S25 Plus. These devices are just more powerful in this area than the 16E. Let's go ahead and run a quick Wi-Fi speed test, and we'll see what happens here. See which one can pull in better. We are looking at Apple C1 modem, but that is for 5G, so we're not really going to see that here. But I still like to see anyway what we can pull in on Wi-Fi performance. This one does pretty good. The S25 Ultra, Samsung for years has always been my favorite phone to go to for best mobile reception. It's always been the best that I've experienced. Motorola is pretty good as well, but this one really up there. Let's go over here to the iPhone over here, and we'll see what happens over here. And you can see so far pretty close, but a bit behind the Galaxy S25 Ultra. This is also going to be evident in 5G. While I'm not doing a 5G test here, I have found that the iPhone doesn't hold as good of 5G performance when I'm out and about than the Galaxy S series. So if this part matters to you, the S series does give you better mobile performance, and according to this test, it looks like better Wi-Fi performance. So yeah, I would pick the S25 Ultra here as well. So lastly, we're going to do what we always do. We're going to launch the cameras to see which one can do this better. 3, 2, go. And single camera, iPhone 16e looks to be faster. Let's go ahead and do it again. 3, 2, go. Oh, almost dropped the S25 Ultra. Big boy phone over there. Let's go over here. 3, 2, go. Yep, the 16e single camera does it a little bit faster. Also, we're just cropping in, but there's still a little jump right there from the 2 down. But this is one of the smoother ones in the game right here. So very good. Let's go ahead and see how the Samsung does in this respect. A little bit slower when kind of going through lenses. Of course, we are switching between multiple lenses though, so not very comparable there. And the last thing I want to check is the shutter speed. Let's go ahead and do that in 3 on 1x cameras. 3, 2, go. 3, 2, go. And 3, 2, go. So pretty similar, although I do find the iPhone to be a little bit quicker when just whipping it out real fast to take a photo than the Samsung, but the Samsung does have better zooming results. So these are not comparable in camera. Let's just put it that way. At the end of the day though, the 16e, the little guy, he did hold his own over here in this video comparison. Did pretty well, but definitely could not take on Goliath over here, the Galaxy S25 Ultra. This thing just stomped on the 16e when it comes to the GPU performance. It won in pretty much most things, but 16e is a mighty little performer. It just cannot keep up with the flagships of the world. So thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you all in the very next episode. Thank you very much for watching. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.